Nicholas Cody.
I feel like I'm a fitness instructor back on this day. You guys want to do some squats or some push-ups? Let me know. You guys up? Can everybody hear me? Yeah? Dad? Mom?
No.
Mom, turn your hearing up. Need it? Okay, so, depression and suicide. Definitely wasn't sitting in my home, just thinking like, what would be a good way to get all my friends together so I can talk about something like suicide and depression, make everybody sad. There was a boy that I know who recently committed suicide. His name was Jake Jensen. He was a great kid. I knew him from the high school and from working there. And when we went to the ceremony for him, I saw a community of people all come together and help. And I sat there the whole time watching my mom cry because she was somebody that had her at the high school, and that was one of her students. And I saw Kelly Jensen there, who was his mom, who was a former teacher of mine. And I sat there thinking, what could I do to make a difference in the community? This is about as good as I could come up with, so I wanted to bring my story out into the world, and maybe I can help somebody. First of all, let me get all the thank yous out. So I will probably cry at the end, and nobody needs to see that. So I don't need to like be crying when I'm giving out thank yous. Like, oh, thank you so much. I want to thank Amanda for helping me put this on. The library's been great in figuring all this out. I want to thank all you guys for coming. And I also have passes from the ambassador, because that's been a big part of my story that I'll talk about later on. For free day passes, they're over there on the table. Feel free to take as many as you want. They're free day passes. They already have the expiration date and my name on them. So feel free to use them and take as many as you'd like. So first of all, I was born in 1989 in Nebraska City to my mom, way back there in the corner somewhere. Everybody awkwardly look at my mom. And my dad sitting right in front of her. Let's see how red he can get when I point at him. We moved around a lot as a kid. I was never really, I felt like accepted a lot as a kid for moving around. I was in a lot of fights. By the time I was in 4th grade, I think I was already in the police department offices for getting in so many fights with the sheriff's office. And my dad was talking to me because I kept trying to light stuff on fire in the house. So, sorry about that, Dad. I kind of have a predisposition for mental illness. My mom, thanks Mom. We have it from my grandma's side. She had severe bipolar disorder, right Mom? Clinical depression, I'm sorry. And she had electroshock therapy. My mom has a history with it as well. She also gave me really small hands. And on my dad's side, he gave me, this striking jawline and these pretty brown eyes. So obviously Dad gave me the much better side. That was a bad joke, sorry. As I was going through elementary school, I didn't really have any friends. I moved here to Nebraska City when I was about, 9, 10 years old. I met my best friend on the playground. You're getting pointing him now. Hey, that's Josh. When I first met him, I really wanted to punch him in the face.
We fought.
Yep, we fought. We used to fight on the playground. I didn't have any friends. He said I was from New York. I said I was from York. Obviously, that was the reason that we needed to fight, so we did. And then one day after school, we became best friends because we started talking about Dragon Ball Z and Nintendo games and Pokemon. And honestly, I don't think without my best friend that I would have turned out nearly half as good as I did, because I was lucky enough. Hey guys. I was lucky enough to have him and his family, and his mom and dad really took me in a lot of times when they didn't need to. I would go over to their house a lot, and I would have family dinners with them. They would take me to their church on Sundays. They really made me feel like part of the family when my mom and dad were out busting their butts trying to provide for me when I was growing up. in middle school, things didn't get a whole lot better. I started really feeling a lot of anger and a lot of weird feelings that I didn't really know how to deal with. So there was a lot more fights. I would fight nearly every day. I would yell at stuff at the teachers. I was in detention like every day, but that went on for quite a while. I was smoking with some of my friends every day after school. And that went on all the way through high school. I got to my high school years, and that's when depression really started to hit, and I really started to feel like I needed to do something about it. I didn't really know what. So one of the things that I would do is I would start cutting myself, and I got one of the X's where I used to cut myself tattooed on myself, so I can remember it, and I wear it now more as like something to live from, that I made it through all that. I just remember when I was doing that, when I was cutting myself late at night, it was just I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't feel like anything. I felt like numb to everything. I felt numb to the world. It'd be late at night, I'd be listening to music, and I just wanted something that helped me feel something again. I got to about the age of 16, and I had my first car to joyride around in, so did all the fun stuff, like I'd throw hot dogs out the side of the car at people with my friends, and pull the e-brake on gravel roads, make them freak out, go down residential roads at about 80 miles an hour, high school stuff. But with that newfound reality came something was my first and luckily only suicide attempt, which came inauspiciously enough one night after work. I was working at a Norman's IGA, if anybody remembers that place. I was working in the dairy cooler at the time, and all my friends that I was hanging out with were going to hang out. And they were going to hang out with my ex-girlfriend, and obviously that was a bummer. And they all went and hang out and didn't invite me, which looking back now seems like, oh my God, it's pretty dramatic for me to do, but at the time I really didn't know how to handle it, so I went out driving in my car, and I can just remember driving down the road and driving around that night, looking around and just not knowing what to do. And the longer and longer I kept driving around, the more angry I got. And the more angry I got, the more that I just wanted to say that I'm done with all this. And it kept building and building and building. And all this was going on in my head. And I had the car to drive around in, and that's what I was going to use to do it. So when I was doing this, I started pulling off into gravel roads, and I started swerving my car into ditches and seeing maybe if I could just make the accident happen, that maybe I just end up in the hospital and I wouldn't wake up. So eventually I was driving around, and a song came on the radio by this band called the All American Rejects, and it's called Move Along. And if you've ever heard the song, it says, when all you got to keep is strong, just move along, just to make it through. And I heard that song, and it just resonated in my head. And the other thing that really resonated in my head was I heard my mom's laugh in my head. And I thought about when they pulled me from the river, my dad would have to be the one to get me. And I just couldn't let that happen. So, made it through that shitty night. Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to say that word. Made it through all that, and things were going all right. I eventually Eventually I started playing in bands when I was about in high school, and that helped me out a lot. I was playing in bands with my dad. We would go around, we'd play a lot of shows. We were terrible. So if any of you saw us, I'm sorry. I think Josh did. Sorry, buddy. My mom did a lot. Dad, you didn't hear us because you were up on stage?
We were fun.
It was fun. We drove around a lot. We played like 40 shows. We ended up being able to go on tour at one point. And the main thing I want to get across whenever I'm saying any of these stories is that I've always had something And the first part of the story that I missed because I got all emotional and was about to cry was that I've always had something that kept me alive when I had the depression. And the first being when I almost committed suicide was that song, and it was my mom's laugh. And the next one was playing in bands, and that kept me up on stage. And I like being on stage, I like being in front of people. It's always been fun to me. I like saying stupid things and completely bombing with dumb jokes. It's kind of my thing. So now I do it in front of kids. So when I was playing with the bands, I would still come home every night after the shows, and I would feel that high from being up on stage, but I'd still come home and I'd be looking out a window and I'd be like, what am I doing? Like, why am I here? I'd be lost. But I still, that drive to keep doing something always kept me around. The band eventually broke up. I got kind of tired of having to write all the songs. My dad was living in Nebraska City, I was living in Lincoln. Some of the other band members, we were all in our mid-20s, wasn't real great at showing up all the time, so it was just best that we broke up. So I looked at myself in the mirror right as soon as I was done being in the band, and I saw that I had a nice gut. And I had a nice little area up here that I probably should have wore a bra. I was about 260 pounds, and my hair was down to here. And when I went into work, they would be like, hey, miss, can you? And I'd be like, I'm not a girl. And they'd be like, I'm so sorry. So, and that going for me. So I looked in the mirror and I figured out I got to do something. And so the next part of my life was figuring out that I needed to start exercising, and I needed to figure out some way to make myself feel better about myself. So I would come home every day from work. I'd go to the gym religiously. I would work out 5 times a day, eat clean, till eventually I figured out that I wanted to fight in a cage. So that was my next thing that made me really want to stick around, and what helped me fight off the feelings of depression. Because believe it or not, when you're trying to not get punched in the face, it's really hard to be sad because you're getting punched in the face. And I wasn't very good either, so I got punched in the face a lot. Eventually I did fight in the cage, and I did it here in Nebraska City. I lost by 3rd round TKO. But when I was done with my fight, I thought about the guy and the person that had helped me out a lot, and it was a personal trainer named Cochran. And I would go to him every single week, one-on-one, and he would train me like everything. He would train my striking, my wrestling, my strength and conditioning, my running, everything. And he came down in the corner, and Josh was also in my corner for that fight. So then I thought to myself, what can I do to help people out and make them feel better? So I went for my personal training certification and became a personal trainer and helped out for a while. But when I would have these personal training, I would have these times when I would do my sessions, I would get to my sessions and I would feel like super anxious, and I would start having like anxiety attacks right before my clients would show up, and a lot of times I would just be like, man, I hope they don't show up, hope they don't show up, hope they don't show up, and then they walk in the door and be like, oh crap, they showed up. Because it was like every 5-10 minutes you had to be on point, because nobody really wants to come in and see a personal trainer that's like, hey man, how's it going? They want to see somebody that's amped up, ready to go, make them feel good, all that stuff. So like I said, I got this headpiece, so if you do want to do squats, I got you. I became a personal trainer, but eventually just became incredibly dissatisfied with it. And around that time, me and my friend Alex went to a concert by a band called the Wonder Years, and I got a CD by them at the show, and I would come home every night and I would listen to that CD. And during that time, those songs, like, they're kind of sad songs, but they made me feel like there was somebody out there that really understood what I was going through, because he said the things that I was feeling inside. And it made me feel like I wasn't maybe the only one who was so messed up. Like, somebody else has had a messed up life. Maybe it's okay that I got one too. Maybe it was okay that I wasn't getting to every goal that I had set out for myself. So I decided to quit personal training and became a baker. Oh, crap. There we go. And I eventually moved out to Colorado, and that was a disaster. 1 out of 10, would not recommend. pretty much everything went bad when I moved out to Colorado. I crashed my car, I was super broke, and I was relying on drugs and alcohol pretty much nearly every day to get me through. I'd come home and spend what little money I had. Of course, marijuana's legal out there, but it really didn't help. It's not like marijuana's a hard drug, but it was still something that I relied on every single day to get me through because I didn't want to feel anything. I was away from my best friends. I was away from my mom and dad. I could talk to them, but it just wasn't the same. Eventually, my brother, Josh, got married in November to his beautiful wife, Amy. And I got to come back for that ceremony. And during that time, being with my friends and being around them again, that's what kept me alive at that time, because I got to see two people that were really in love, and I got to see my best friend have one of the happiest days and the happiest moments of my life, was seeing him and them do that. I came back to Nebraska City, and I took a crappy job working overnights at Walmart until a position opened up with the Nebraska City Public Schools. I worked that job for a while as like a maintenance guy. I would do like handyman work, and I would do like cleanups for events and stuff like that, until eventually they contacted me and said, hey, do you want to drive the bus? I said, not really. Well, they're like, well, you're going to do it anyway. And I was like, I don't want to. And they said, you're going to do it. So I obliged and did it, because they said I had to. And eventually I met a little boy named Colton, that lady back there. So if you've never met Colton, he's like the best kid in the world. He has like the biggest smile, will give you so much crap. He's not really incredibly verbal, but somehow you know that he's giving it to you, and he's making sure he's not going to let you goof off, right? Right, Chris? That's right. I met that little boy, and he would come on my bus every single day, and he'd be wearing like a Pokemon shirt, and I'd be like, what's up, Pokemon? And he'd just be like, yeah. And then the next day he'd come on with like, I don't know, the Flash, and I'd be like, what's up, Flash? And he'd be like, hey, and we just hit it off every single day. And eventually his mom started saying, and his teachers all started saying that I just made such an impact on his life, and I was just blown away. I was seriously just taken aback, because I worked with children before in like a daycare setting at a gym, and when I moved back from Colorado, it was initially my intention to start working with kids again, but I had gotten away from that when I had started working for the maintenance job at the schools. But when I met Colton, I knew that's what I had to do, because I felt that I could really make a difference and really make a change. So I initially applied for a job at the middle school working special education, and that didn't work out so well, so I was actually let go from that job. But it was kind of ironic, because there's a place in town called First Step Daycare that was hiring right around the same time, and I took a leap back in and started working with kids again. And now I'm working at a place called Head Start, and I get to teach kids every single day. And sometimes I have kids come up to me. I had this little girl come up to me the other day and said, her mom actually told me, she's like, this little girl had to come to school today because she missed you so much and she wouldn't come without you. And another mom told me that when I'm not at school, her daughter will cry. And I get to be a mentor to a little boy who's a third grader. And he gets in a lot of trouble. He's kind of a little turd. But that's the way I was when I was a kid, so I thought maybe I can help him out. So I have a lot of people come up to me every day, and they go, I see you love working with kids, and that really makes a difference. But they don't really know why. They see me goof around on the playground, and they see me acting dumb, but they don't really know. They don't really get it. Because now I get to be the reason somebody comes in to school. I get to turn that stupid X on my chest. I get to wear it as like war paint now. I get to celebrate it. I get to go to school every day, and I get to feel joy, and I get to show a whole new generation that somebody will be there and somebody will care. And the whole reason I wanted to give this speech is because I wake up for kids every single day, and I just wanted to show anyone, it doesn't even have to be kids, that you can always feel shitty and you can always feel like crap, and it might not be working out for you right now, but there's gotta be something that you will never know. If I had committed suicide when I was 16, there would be kids today that would just be lost without me. That's not because I think I'm so great. That's just because I know I'm making an impact on their life. And I feel like there shouldn't be any more moms that have to cry at any more funerals because we as a community or we as people didn't help. I feel like we can be proactive instead of reactive. We can help people instead of mourning them when they're gone. We can help them now instead of being sad when they go away. That's really all I gotta say. Thanks everyone for coming.
You want to do a Q&A or are you done?
What?
You want to do Q&A or are you done?
People want to ask questions? Does anybody want to do that? Anybody have questions?
Or share something?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody got anything to share?
Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah, Linda.
Yeah, Linda.
I just want to say how great it's been to see you stand up here, to share your story, and to let us all know that, you know, we don't always find our purpose at the first stop, but you did take a lot of trials, and you stuck with it, and you did that, and to watch you grow from this tiny little guy that was playing around on my living room floor when you were a baby to where you are right now. Nick, it's amazing, and I hope you're really proud of yourself.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
I know my brother's always so happy when you're at school because he's always talking about you at home and everything. About Mr. Nick was doing this and Mr. Nick was that. He's always so happy when you're there.
Is that your Nate's sister?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my boy. That's my little dude right there. Anybody else got anything to share? I'm gonna turn on music so we don't have to sit here all awkward now. If you guys feel like coming up and you feel like talking to me, oh, excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold, and it was like the worst time for this to happen. Feel free to come up. I'll hang around here at the front of the stage. I'm probably gonna keep eating my Pringles. I'll turn on some music. We can mingle if you want, or you can just say thanks for coming. But I sincerely thank all of you for coming, and I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing to add, Nick.
Yes.
I know, speak for your mom too. We're both very proud of you. We didn't see all the stuff when you were going through all the stuff like a lot of parents don't. You don't see the kids, they don't talk to you as much. But what you're doing now is just so amazing. And we all find our way to try to get back. I wasn't good working kids, so I became a firefighter and EMT. I worked